Here's an overview of what we will be talking about today. We're going to talk briefly about the local water agencies and some of the regulations in the area. Also some rebate opportunities that you folks can take advantage of. And then we're really going to dive into landscape irrigation efficiency. We're going to look at some basic irrigation components. I'm going to focus it on drip irrigation because I'm making an assumption here that most folks aren't really interested in sprinkler irrigation. Is that correct? Is there anyone here who really wants to know about sprinkler irrigation? Nobody. Great. Not that sprinklers are bad, but I've catered this presentation to drip irrigation, so I'm glad I made the right move. We'll talk about some design aspects of irrigation systems, irrigation scheduling, and some common problems. We'll do some troubleshooting and figure out what you can do to alleviate those problems. And then we will have some time for questions at the end. I teach here, so my habit is to just point at somebody when they raise a hand. I'll try not to do that, and we can hopefully save the questions for the end. But if I call on you, we'll try to make it brief and keep moving on, because I only have 90 minutes. And like I said, I teach a 16-week course. I could talk to you for weeks about this. So I'll try to keep it condensed to accommodate the time frame. All right, so first of all, let's just talk about some simple, basic rules for efficient irrigation water use in the landscape. Number one, try to use non-potable water sources when possible. So that's gray water, rainwater. All right, it's legal now to use gray water. So that's water that's from your laundry system, from your shower, from your bathroom sinks. Okay, that's all legal in California now. It wasn't up until a couple of years ago when the plumbing code was changed. Now you can do that legally. I know lots of people did it, whether it was legal or not previously, but now it's legal, and that's good because that opens up the way to education and understanding how to use this valuable water source properly. If you are using potable water, which most of us are, to irrigate our landscapes, you want to design, install, and maintain an efficient irrigation system. All three of those are important. If one of those aren't correct, then you're probably not using water as efficiently as you could in the landscape. Starting off with just the right plant selection. Look out here. Look at all these beautiful plants we have here. Very low water use. Most of these right around here are California native plants. But we know that there's a wide variety of plant materials that we can use in the landscape here that are low water use and low maintenance and are quite beautiful. We're in the central coast of California. We're blessed with this beautiful weather, these really rich soils. We can grow a lot of stuff here. Doesn't have to be all thirsty plants, doesn't have to be all turf grass. You need to adjust your irrigation schedule with the seasons. Okay, a lot of people are surprised by this, but June is the highest water use month, even though we're all accustomed to the June gloom, right? I don't think we got it this year. Certainly doesn't seem like it. I'm sweating up here right now. It's a warm June, but generally it's often cooler and foggier. However, the days are longer. So even though it might be 80 and sunny in October, the plant water requirements are going to be less than they are in 70 and foggy June. It's just all about the solar radiation and the length of the daylight. So we're going to talk about how to adjust those irrigation schedules throughout the season. It's really easy to do. You always want to apply adequate mulch to all your perennial beds. Mulch helps retain soil moisture. It decomposes over time, so it helps build soil organic matter, which increases the soil water holding capacity. And it also helps prevent weed seeds from germinating. And it looks nice. It looks a lot better than the bare soil. So you'll be increasing your soil organic matter by applying mulch. You can also apply compost. You can also grow cover crops, particularly in your vegetable beds, your annuals, and incorporate that back into the soil. Again, increasing that soil water holding capacity. Capture and use rainwater if possible. And then there's a stormwater strategy. The simple phrase is slow it, spread it, sink it. There's a handout in the back that goes into great detail about that. But the idea is that you're keeping a lot of that water during the rainy season that might flow off of the property, keeping it on the property, sinking it down to the soil profile so that it's available for the plants. Let's talk a little bit about the law, because I think it's important to understand how our water use is regulated. It's written into the California Constitution. So over 150 years ago, the founders of this state realized that water is a valuable, sometimes scarce resource. Again, we're in a semi-arid environment, meaning we have a definite wet season and a definite dry season. They're both approximately 5 to 6 months each. So we know there's going to be long spans of time where we don't receive any rainfall. It's also in the California Water Code. No water waste. That's what I'm referring to. You don't waste water. You don't send water to waste. And most specifically, it's addressed in Assembly Bill 1881. Most folks who are familiar with this recognize it as the Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. Sometimes you'll hear it called WELO or WELO. And you can read about, and you can actually read the entire language of the law on the Department of Water Resources website. This basically regulates how you can use water outdoors. And there are specific regulations pertaining to new construction mostly. However, there's also language regarding existing landscapes. Basically, you can't have water hit what we call non-targeted areas. You can't have overspray and runoff. Water cannot leave your landscape.
Does it apply to wells,
It applies to any water use.
even if you have your own well?
Right. And groundwater is going to start to be regulated as well. So, you know, that's often been someone's out. Well, I have a well. Well, we all share the aquifer, so even though it might be your private well, it's part of a larger water system that we all share. And California is awfully late to the game, but we're finally going to start regulating groundwater as of next year. But, okay, so you know, we have these regulations. How many of you have seen something like this? Probably recently. I have. I see it all the time. I don't know how many. I have thousands of pictures of stuff like this. Here's our local water agencies. Just in case you're not familiar with them, you should definitely know who's your water purveyor for a number of reasons. We happen to have 9 major water agencies. There's some smaller ones, but basically 9 water agencies in the county. I've always thought that's kind of interesting considering we're the second smallest county in the state. But here we are with 9 water agencies. And the sources of the water are quite different. So it's important to be familiar with your water agency because, first of all, a lot of them offer rebates for you to transform what could be a thirsty landscape into a low water use or a drought tolerant landscape. Also, it could be important to know what the regulations are, particularly pertaining to times of day or days that you're actually supposed to be watering. And just to briefly show you here how different the water sources are. So we've got City of Santa Cruz. That's mostly surface water. So that's San Lorenzo River and its tributaries. And then, of course, there's Loch Lomond Reservoir that's the backup supply. Thankfully, that's full. That topped off this year. We had a decent rainfall year. So City of Santa Cruz is looking pretty good. They have lowered their water restrictions. But that doesn't mean that you can send that water to waste. It just means that they don't have the particular restrictions that they did on the times and the days that you water. Okay, City of Watsonville, exact opposite. Primarily groundwater. And they share an aquifer with the Soquel Creek Water District, which is also primarily groundwater. And these agencies are still very much, and the residents within those areas are still very much in a difficult situation. The decent rainfall year we had really didn't change their situation at all. We are depleting our groundwater resources much quicker than they're being replenished. And that's likely not going to change in the near future. So these water agencies have to be very careful and concerned with how their water is used. So there are waterways prohibitions again. No water leaving the property, no water hitting the non-targeted areas. You should understand that. If you see it, you can report it to your local water agency. I'd encourage you to do so. It's not tattling. It's actually helpful because the water agency will send someone like me, I contract with the city of Watsonville to manage their landscape water conservation program, and I'll go out and I'll help someone. And people often appreciate it. Of course, they're a little apprehensive at first. They probably received a letter and it looks kind of nasty, but I'm a pretty nice guy, so I'll go and I want to be helpful. The agencies don't want to penalize, they want to help people. Again, there are rebates that you can take advantage of. There's a handout in the back called the Official Water Conservation Guide, Santa Cruz County. This has great detailed information about all your water agencies and a lot of the rebates that they're offering. So take a look at that. There should be a few more in the back there. Grab one of those on your way out and see what they can offer or see how they can help. Again, if you live in Watsonville, you can give me a call. I can just come out with basic consultation services, help you with your irrigation control and programming, help you with design ideas. So even if you're not interested or couldn't use a rebate, there are resources there that are available to help you. There's tiered pricing, so incentivizing people to use less water, because the more water you use, the greater the amount you will be paid per unit as you use more water. There's also some information online that can be really helpful. There's a Water Smart Gardening software. You can find that along with information about the Water Conservation Coalition of Santa Cruz County at watersavingtips.org. Lots of good information there. Basically, the Water Conservation Coalition of Santa Cruz County has representatives from all the local water agencies, because they have similar goals to help people use water as efficiently as possible and reduce outdoor water use. So they often collaborate together at events to spread the word out to the public. Okay, there you go. Tell me about the overdraft. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but you can see it's been estimated that 6.5 billion gallons per year are withdrawn from the aquifers in the Pajaro Valley, and it's not replenished. It's a lot of water. Okay, I want to tell you also about working with professionals, because some of you might find yourself in a position where you need to hire a contractor. You need to hire a professional to help you with your landscape and your irrigation. So at the very minimum, you should make sure that your landscaper is a licensed contractor. Very important for your protection, especially, and also because that lets you know that they have the experience and the expertise to do the job. Also, make sure that they have some kind of certification from the Irrigation Association or the California Landscape Contractors Association, where they can show you a portfolio or even tell you to go to particular areas where they've done work, so you can verify that they are able to do the work that you want to do and help you install and maintain that healthy and beautiful landscape. It's very low water use. Going to Cabrillo College isn't bad either. We tend to educate our folks pretty well here. So if someone tells you they've been here, they've taken my irrigation class, they should know what they're doing. Again, ask for the portfolio. Try to develop a personal relationship with the contractor. Most of the contractors around here are really nice, and they want to help you, and they want to help you meet your needs. So ask them lots of questions and try to have a personal relationship with them. And of course, demand the highest quality services. You deserve it, and they should be able to provide it.